Welcome to Merkaba Chakras, where we talk Buddhism in the fifth dimension.
Welcome to another podcast episode of Merkaba Chakras. I'm your host, Vaughn Galt, and today we deep dive into the first-hand account of UFO abductees with Miss Dolly Safran, who has recalled a lifetime of alien abductions, and she would like to relay a ET message to humanity. We also discuss where UFO abductions factor in the evolving discussion of humanity's 5D consciousness and when we each individually evolved in our spiritual psyche to handle first contact with higher multidimensional beings of the cosmos with author Preston Dennett. So with that, Preston and Dolly, welcome to Merkaba Chakras.
Hi, nice to be here.
Thanks, Vaughn. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's wonderful to have you here. First, Preston and Dolly, congratulations on being #1 in Amazon's UFO books category. So, yay!
Yeah, it's very exciting.
I love that. I love that. So let's get into it. So we have a lot of talk about the spiritual nature of UFOs, the metaphysical nature. We're going to go a little bit into the Buddhist folklores of Lemuria and Dolly's perspective from her experience of those topics. So a lot to unpack. So let's first start. Preston, can you tell us how you got started in the UFO research and why you were compelled to write Miss Dolly Safran's memoir?
Yeah, thanks, Vaughn. I came into this field not believing in UFOs. They weren't real. The stars are too far away. People who see UFOs are lying. They're hoaxing. They're hallucinating, misperceiving. Just didn't believe it, even when my brother came running in and said he'd saw one. But then 1986 rolls around. I'm a young man, 21, but very scientific in my thinking. And a report comes on the news talking about a sighting over Alaska. And I thought to myself, this poor pilot is throwing his career away. He saw a reflection off the ice cap. This was, sighting over Alaska. This is what I'm thinking. But it kind of really intrigued me that this pilot would go on TV and say this. He must have seen something. I couldn't wrap my head around it. So I finally had the courage, I guess, to ask my brother Marco, my older brother, what he saw. And he described this amazing sighting. He had witnesses with him. Found out my sister-in-laws had sightings, face-to-face encounters with ETs. Friends had encounters, missing time, people at work. This knocked me off my chair and really had me having to take a second look at everything I thought I knew, which turned out to be I was completely wrong about UFOs. They are real and had been studied for decades. So I became a field researcher. I started reading every book I could find, joining every organization, attending conventions. Years go by, I started writing articles. After 10 years of research, I put out my first book, UFO Healings, because there was a lot of fear surrounding the subject. And after 10 years, I realized it wasn't warranted. It was not true. They were not here to hurt us or anything like that. So I felt like this subject is super important. It's not being taken seriously. And I started putting out book after book. And let me jump forward decades, because it's been 35 years now, to 2016, and Dolly contacts me. I'm like, okay, here we have another contactee. Is she for real? I'm sure she just wants to share her story, because there's a lot of people who have nobody to talk to. I'm often like the only people who will listen to them and take them seriously. And as she started to tell her story, I'm like, wow, this one's a bit different. In that Dolly is a fully conscious contactee. She's not using hypnosis to recall her experiences, which is, that not the norm, but certainly not unheard of. I've talked to many people who have fully conscious encounters. I mean, this is not out of the ballpark. But as she began talking, I realized, wow, her case is more extensive, I think, than any other case. And she was really eager to get her story told. And at some point, we were doing a lot of interviews. She finally realized I was for real myself. I was going to take her story seriously. I wasn't going to ridicule it. I was going to tell it as accurately as I possibly could. And she told me something that just was so amazing. She says, I was looking for a good researcher. I'm so glad I found you, because I couldn't find any. And I couldn't find you even until my ET friends said, we want you to look up this guy. His name is Preston. Here's his last name. Here's how you spell it. We think he might be a good fit for you. So I was actually referred by the Greys. So that is awesome. And that's how Dolly and I connected.
I love that. I love that. That's kind of how my clients find me too. most of my Starseed Toku clients, they find me usually through some kind of supernatural entity. So Dolly, tell us the most significant childhood memories regarding your UFO abductions.
You mean young childhood?
Yeah, the
okay.
top 3 most significant ones.
All right. The first one would be my first time I remember anything. I was about 10 months old. It was in my crib. I was supposed to be napping, and I saw a bright light come in broad daylight come through my levelers, and I was shocked. I was standing there staring at it, and the next thing I know, I start levitating up, and I tried to flip back to lay down. That didn't do any good. I was just floating up on my back, and when I got to the top of the rail of my crib, I said no, flipped over. I was trying to get back down. And I was trying really, really hard. And then my memory goes black. Okay, I don't remember. But it was so traumatic, I never forgot it, ever. I slept with my feet between the bars of the crib. Everybody thought I was odd for doing that, but I had a purpose. My second one was when I was about 2 years old. We lived in a house in Miami that had closets, that had the bottom closet and then the top closets on the top with their own doors. And I wanted up there so bad. In my mind, it was the perfect hiding spot. And I wanted to hide from my mom. And I kept thinking, I'm going up there. I'm going up there. I'm going up there. And it took me about a week. And I did. I flew up there. I levitated up into that closet. I got in, I shut the door and started laughing. My mom could hear me. She came out, what's up? What's up? And she couldn't find me. She became hysterical. And she heard me giggling at that point, and she got on a chair and I opened the door, and she nearly had a cow. I mean, she came unglued. She called my dad. My dad came home. She couldn't figure out how I got up there. That was the first time all the locks in the house got changed. And I was just so brilliant. Okay. I remember that. Oh my God. I knew I'd done it. The third one was, this is one I don't talk about usually. It's in the book. My aunt had come over with my uncle and her children. And my aunt was upset with my cousin. She's the oldest one of the kids. And I was very attached to her. I loved her very, very much. We were very close to one another. She's a few years older than me. And my aunt was yelling at her, and she ran in my room. My cousin did, to hide from her. And when she came in, she was really yelling at her. I couldn't understand why. And I was so upset about it. My closet flew open, and all the boxes in the top of the closet shot out straight at her head. There was much pandemonium after that. I never forgot it. I was like, did I do that? I realized that something was up, That was when I was really convinced that something was up with me and I was able to do stuff. So those are the top 3.
Okay, so questions. So I always have some questions, as certain things are answered. So first of all, I'm surprised you remember your infant memories at 10 months.
I have, yeah.
That's not unusual for contactees.
Is that not, Preston? Because I don't remember anything before maybe 3.
Yeah, me
Oh, wow.
too.
You too? Okay, so we're normal. So
No,
why
yeah.
is it that contactees remember like infant years?
There's a couple of reasons. I think one is that these are very unusual events and have a profound effect on them. And I've talked to one lady, she's like, yeah, my first memory was seeing a UFO because it was just had an impression on her. But also contactees are generally speaking extremely psychic. They're very high awareness. This is something that's been sort of bred into them over many generations. But really, they have eidetic memories. There's a higher instance of eidetic memories among contactees. I talked to another lady, I think she's, gosh, from New York. I'd have to look that up precisely. But she was telling me the same darn thing. She's like, oh yeah, my mom came running in and I was floating over my crib. She says, I remember about all the way to, yeah, I think it was 11 months in her case. And it's super, gosh, not prolific. There's a word for it when you're really advanced at a young age.
Precocious.
Precocious. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. She's like, I was walking, talking full sentences. And Dolly's like saying, oh yeah, I was doing the same thing around age 1 or 2 or whatever it was. But yeah, that's not unusual.
Yeah, well, the memory thing is interesting because like my daughter's 7. You guys met her before the recording, but she remembers maybe up to like 1 year, but that's just spotty memory. It's still kind of spotty memory, and she was talking at before 1 in short sentences, but the recall that you have is even more vivid, which if I find even more fascinating. But I've interviewed other people who've had levitation stories as a child. How come you aren't able to levitate now? Are you able to still levitate things now as an adult, or do you lose it, or do you forget the teachings? What is it, you that do it or somebody else does it? I mean, why not now?
I'm the one who levitates. I've had levitation happen to me as an adult. Right now, I've been broken too many times. I've broken my neck, I've broken my back, I've broken almost every bone in my body. And I have an issue now with landing, okay? And so I'm less inclined to want to do that here, okay? This is where very great gravity heavy place, but I've been other places, I have no fear of it at all, and I can levitate when I want to. I just can't.
Is there a technique that you use? I mean, like if you were wanting to levitate, is there a technique that you can share? Is it like a meditation technique that you do?
It is part meditation. I begin meditating first. I focus, I go within, I blot out all information, I let everything go, like the Buddhist traditions tell you, let it go. Okay. I see nothing, hear nothing, feel nothing. And then I singularly think, I'm going to do whatever it is I'm going to do. I'm either going to float to fly a little bit, or I'm going to lift up, or I want to lift something up. I focus on that one task, and then I just let go and let it happen. I think it feels like my astral body is doing it. Like it does it first, and then my body follows. That's what you feel like when you're doing it. Preston said it to me once. He said, that's what everybody tells them. And I'm like thinking, yep.
Yeah, I wrote a book on human levitation. And it's funny because Dolly had not offered me the fact that she had levitated until I asked, because I knew that contactees experienced this. Whitley Strieber, Stephen Greer had other contactees. And yeah, I wrote a book about this. Most recently, Jeff Silver, who just put out his book about his own contacts. I was not surprised to hear him talking about how the ETs explained in detail how people levitate. It's in the last chapter of his book. It's definitely connected to the astral body.
Yeah. So first you get your aura field, your astral body to do the thing, and then it puts the material body into it. What would be interesting is if we could teach everyone, contactee or non-contactee, how to levitate, if only just to levitate a pen.
It's a process that you have to begin with learning to use your innate abilities. Everybody has a pineal gland in their mind, and everybody has psychic abilities. That's the first step. Meditate to use your psychic ability, develop it, open your mind, become more and more and more in contact with your consciousness, which is astral. Your physical mind is just an engine you live in. Okay, it's corporeal, but it's not permanent, and it's like a computer. It only hears your astral mind if that link is running. Okay, your body won't obey your astral mind unless you allow it to happen, and you have to open that link. So meditation, psychic ability, and then you start walking through the steps of OBE, remote viewing, and stuff like that. And along that way, somehow you start practicing one type of levitation at a time. Mine was that I did it naturally. I don't know how it began with me, but the older I got, I realized that I could move objects easier than I could float myself. Okay. And I think learning to move an object first is the way to go, because you're pinpointing something at that point. You're learning to singularly send it somewhere. And then once you get the feeling of that, the energy required, and what your astral mind is telling your body to do, then you go for the full Monty and do it. Practice every day. If something doesn't happen for you right away, the main thing is this is a muscle you haven't exercised in forever. Okay. Since you've been in this body, most people don't use this ability. So you have to keep practicing, practice. Don't give up. Don't be negative in any way about it. Just allow it to happen, and it will happen.
Yeah, about the kinetic sixth sense. When are you using the same technique, right? Same
it's coming from the
technique.
same part of my it's just jerky. In other words, sometimes it happens spontaneously. Most children who are like, poltergeists are really the person who's involved in the event. Okay, most children have poltergeists around them. If it's going to happen, it's not an entity outside of them, it's them doing it. They're having bursts of energy that cause those events to happen. And so it's jerky. And it generally happens when they're upset or angry. Okay. And that's the energy that you're throwing out there. And it's very fast. It's like throwing a spear. You're not in control of where that spear is going, and it just happens. The idea with telekinetic ability, like levitation, is learn to control it. And
it's very much connected to our bioelectric field.
Right.
And it's amazing how many contactees will walk by a TV and it'll fuzz up, or street lights go out, and all these different things. It's definitely, and I've got lots of cases of kids who spontaneously levitate, because kids are much more naturally attuned to the hidden realms.
Right.
Yeah. So because I just think about the kinetic thing, like you're focusing and then you move it like linear, or you focus and then you just somehow shift.
I'm not moving the object. The object is moving for me. In other words, it's cooperating with me. Like your pencil. Okay. If I wanted to move your pencil, I would focus on it. Okay. And then in my mind, I would just tell the pencil it's going to move. I'm not doing anything physically with my mind or anything. I'm letting go of all this energy, and I'm allowing my astral mind to take up the task. And my astral mind goes and moves the pencil.
Or does it goes and moves, you can see the movement of the pencil, or does it also just all of a sudden boop and boop here? Does it do that too?
That's another type of energy transfer. I want to explain something to you, okay? Because you keep using the word oral, and I want you to understand what your consciousness really is. Okay, I'm gonna put you in touch with it. Okay, an aura is your ability to see energy. Okay, and everybody has that ability. Everybody, even if you've been talked out of it, you'll look at something and go, why does it look that color? You're seeing energy. Your third eye is actually transmitting that information to you. It's like breathing. It just does it naturally. Okay, your consciousness, your real self, your astral self, your astral. We all. I'll start with the universe first. Quickly. Our universe is a physical construct, the entire thing, the whole universe. Okay. And within that construct are 12 dimensions. We all physically live in the third dimension right now. If you're physical like we are, you're in the third dimension. No matter where in the universe you are, your particular job here right now is just to be in the third dimension. in that same dimension with you, in your space right now, and I'm looking at you, so I'm sort of involved with it. We're in communication with one another, so we're both in the same space at the same time, astrally, okay? In that dimension are other dimensions above us, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, all the way up to 12. There are 2 below you, 1st and 2nd. It's a flat plane, okay? The 3rd dimension, as you can see, height, width, and weight, dimension of it, geometrically. The 4th dimension is a little bit more complicated because you see the corners in that dimension that you can't, you only see 4 corners, okay? In the 4th dimension, you see 5 and 6. In the 5th dimension, you see 8 and 12, okay? And on and on and on. Each dimension has a different perspective of understanding and ability to see it exactly as it for what it is. So inside those 12 dimensions, there are entities in here with you. You are surrounded by other entities who live up in dimensions above you. People wonder what a guardian angel is. It's a 5th or 6th dimensional being who's actually capable of intervening for you and helping you or coming to you and trying to speak to you, okay? Now, there are beings that in our universe that are interdimensional beings. That would be one, okay? There are beings in our universe that are non-corporeal entities like a 5th dimension. They don't have skin anymore. They don't have a heart beating. They don't have a physical body. They have an astral mind that can create anything for them they want. They're that advanced. So an aura is your ability to see that. Once you start seeing auras full time, you will be able to actually see those dimensional beings when they come visit you. That's why you learn to be psychic, because the minute you turn that on, you will see all energy as it really is within the dimensional space that you're sitting. Okay, I'll be honest with you. I think you got to be really, really smart or really, really wise to see past the 5th dimension. I've only seen one 6th dimensional being, and that's it. I've never seen anybody above that. Okay.
And describe the 6th dimensional being that you saw with your physical eyes.
It is my contact, Talata. He's a 5th dimensional being, but he's also 6th. I don't know how to explain it. It's like right on it. He's evolved so much that he's probably already into the 5th. He's the entity that indwells my craft. The craft is alive, and it's alive because he's in it. He's transferred his consciousness into that craft to run it. Okay. All ET craft are run that way. They're somewhat biological as well. And he uses that craft like I use my body and you use your body. And they're so advanced. That's how their technology works. Seems like magic does, but it's not. It's very technical.
Yeah, we are all interdimensional.
Yeah.
That's another thing I want to to point out, because people are like, what are these interdimensional beings we're dealing with? I'm like, well, yeah, you are too interdimensional.
Yeah. You have the ability to reach in any dimension in your universe where we're at in this physical construct. And what you're talking about, seeing something like go blip, is somehow you've opened a light way for it to go. You've actually changed its dimensional space from here to here. And humans can do that.
Yeah, that's the natural thing on the astral planes. Everyone flies. Everyone can do telekinesis. Right. You can teleport yourself and items as well. As opposed to telekinetically moving them, you can teleport them.
That's exactly what I was hinting at, was that instead of movement in a linear fashion, are you teleporting, or are you shifting? Are you shifting reality, or are you teleporting in the same reality?
All the reality in this construct in our universe is reality. It's nothing. It's all reality for us. Physical or non-corporeal, take your pick. Dimensionally, whatever dimension you're in, you're still in this universe, okay? But you can, and I guess the only way to describe it, you become light and you transport yourself through light, okay? Your brain is all light, you're in a heavy, dense gravity well right here. So you don't see the light that you're all made up of, okay? But outside of this dimension, you're turning into pure light. And light is energy that you can move and do whatever you want with it. That's what remote viewing is, by the way, is you're taking your brain and you're remote viewing. The real thing is you're taking the energy that you are and transferring it by light, by intelligent consciousness, which is pure light, to some other place and looking at it with your consciousness. It's not OBE, it's your consciousness moving through. And it's your consciousness which can actually physically move your entire body or anything you're in that you want to move to another place.
Or another reality.
No, same
No,
reality.
same reality.
Just
Okay,
a different space.
Just a
In
different
other words,
space.
like I'm going
Okay.
from 5th Street to 24th Street. Okay. In the universe, everything has an address. Okay.
Yep.
Every grid, every square of it has a point of origin and a point of the departures right by the origin, and then the part where your destination. Okay. And when you dimensionally jump, you're going from here to the place where you jump off, and then poof, you're there in a second, that fast. And it's all light.
And it's all light. And it is the difference in terms of the light of your consciousness, the difference of frequency that takes you from one to another?
No. If you can do it from the frequency that you're at, you'll end up there. Your frequency is your dimensional space. You're in the 3rd dimension. You're in the frequency of the 3rd dimension. Now, if you evolve and you get wise and you pass through that, then you'll be able to jump to a different dimension, which is a different frequency. Okay. A different dimensional frequency of light.
And there are people who can do this. Father Padre Pio, he was, based in Spain and was seen all over the world by locating, physically helping people. Humans have the ability to be very advanced and do all kinds of stuff. We are unlimited in our abilities, I think.
Right. But waking up is the most important thing.
Yes. One last question about the biolocation techniques. Is it the same technique that you use for levitation and being kinetic? Is it the same one?
Yes, okay, because it's my consciousness that's running the show. My consciousness is energy, light energy. So is yours. Everything you know and understand is in that light. Okay. You're singularly you. You never die. You go on forever and ever and ever. You're a part of where you're at right now because you chose to be here. Okay. When you're ready to leave this particular realm or this universe, you can go somewhere else. But right now, you're doing your karma here. Okay. And that's why.
Okay. So the next question is, in the book, you talk about Mama and the Guardians. Can you describe who Mama is and the Guardians?
Sure. Okay, I'll do the Guardians first. The Guardians are, in my experience, and Preston can really elaborate on this because I've only met one, are mantids. And I had to have a kidney transplant in 2016. And I was recuperating at my donor's house. They live on a farm. And I was there by myself one afternoon, and it was blustery, wind, galing. I mean, it was incredible. And I had the door open and the glass, the outside door sitting there. And I was looking through the glass, watching the trees whipping around. And all of a sudden I saw across the quad in the tree line, this stump, and I saw something moving behind it. I have very good vision. Okay. I have binocular vision. And I'm staring at it thinking, what is that? And the more I looked at it, the more I realized, not a cow, not a deer, not a peacock, what the hell, And I got my camera. We had flip phones in those days. I had a Motorola, and I turned it on and I walked up to the door and I'm trying to take pictures of it with this limited camera's ability. I got a few. Okay. And then it stood up. It was crouching way down. It stood up to about 8 feet, maybe a little taller. And I freaked out because it was a mantid. I mean, I was like, oh, okay. And I dropped my camera. I yanked the door open and I ran down the stairs and went after it. I'm like, stop.
You went after it. Oh, you didn't run the opposite way.
No, I'm not afraid of anything. I wanted a conversation with this dude. And it looked at me funny and it shot me a message, and it just said, we are the watchers. We watch over you. And then it turned and it just started walking away. I just had surgery. I was not up to that little bit of exercise. I couldn't keep up with it. So it walked away from me. Go, Preston, because he knows all about these guys. He does.
Yeah, there's another contactee in England who's very much like Dolly. His name is Jason Andrews. He's fully conscious. He's not really gone public, but his mother has, and has written 2 books about her own experiences with her son. And he says the same thing. He's met the mantids. He says they're super intelligent. They watch over everything. You might call them, I don't know, librarians. They're just keeping track of everything. They're the go-to species for knowledge and information. They are the watchers. And this is something that goes way back in various cultures, that term.
Yeah.
So yeah, and many people I've talked to who have seen the mantids describe how unbelievably intelligent they are. And it can be very scary for people to see them because they're quite tall, 8, 9 feet, upwards even 15 feet tall. And this can send people over the edge. Unfortunately, our society is so drenched in fear, and people have been trained to fear. And there's a lot of people who are having a real hard time with this and interpret this as a negative experience. It really isn't. Yeah, the mantids are just one of many species and who are all cooperating together: grays, mantids, tall whites, little short blue humanoids. I mean, you name it. They're all out there. They're all very much like us. And yeah, the mantids are really on top of things and sort of the guides, I guess you might call them.
So the mantis and all these different types of watchers, ET watchers, can they come in the form of owls or weird deer, and can they come in other kind of forms, or do they always come in this mantis, like giant mantis forms?
All ETs, depending on your level of fear, can give you a cover memory of what you're looking at, so you're not terrified of them right away. All of them. In other words, they can approach you looking like an owl, and they can watch you for a few minutes and decide whether you're going to freak out if you see them or not, or anything that you've either just seen or something that makes you feel comfortable. They'll let you see them that way, and then once they realize you can handle it, then they'll go ahead and show themselves to you. That's what that is. So a mantis is a mantis is a mantis. Those dudes are they're big, they're tall, and they're extremely, I mean, he was so calm. I mean, all I got was total love and peace from him when I saw him. I mean, that's why I wasn't afraid of him. I mean, I made contact with him mentally right away, and it was something. It was really, 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 really something.
So you never got that feeling, like, when people typically are around a person or in a situation where they just kind of get a spidey sense that maybe they're in danger. You didn't get that feeling?
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all at all.
And is Mama a mantis as well, or is Mama somebody else?
Mama is a tall gray. I've known her my whole life. She was the first being that I physically met on board a craft for the first time. And I don't know if you can see it or not, but that's Mama.
Okay, she's got beautiful eyeshadow.
Sort of, kind of. She's I did that coloring so that you could see that she has an actual lid in there. Okay. But her eyes are literally, seriously blue-green, major big eyes, wraparound eyes. She is about 6'2". She's a little over 800 years old. She's still alive. I still speak to her. I see her. And she is my liaison. She helps take care of me. When first time I met her, I was almost 6 years old. I was very young. And she's sort of been my liaison. She's been my temporary mama when I'm with the ET. She coordinated everything for me. She took care of me. When I'm not with her, she's doing somebody else already. Also, she's got several that she watches over and takes care of.
What are they watching over you for? What's the goal of the watching?
Because when I'm with them and I'm being educated and I'm going different places with them, she stays with me. In other words, she doesn't let me do anything alone. She makes sure that I'm guided, that I have somebody caring for me the whole way through. ETs are very loving parents. And if you're away from your real parent, they will take care of you and guard you just like a real parent would. And that's what she was for.
Okay. Have you ever heard of anyone or have ever had any situation where they just let you peruse and explore without them around, without the chaperones?
I wasn't allowed to go free until I was about 9 years old, 8, 9. And they knew me well enough then. They knew I knew the rules. They knew I had my moral education from them going strong. And they knew that I knew how to be safe. And you're really not unsafe when you're with ET anyway. Everybody watches over you, everybody. So I was let loose at that point. And I knew what my obligations were. If I had to go to my quarters, if I had to go eat, that kind of thing. Mama did follow me around sometimes, but most of the time after that age, I was strictly self-guiding at that point.
And
So-
what did you find when you were, roaming freely?
It just depended on where I was.
What's the top experience?
I was taken to one of their home worlds, and it was a planet where I went to learn, and I lived there for a couple weeks at a time. And I went to school in a gigantic tree, huge. You know where Devil's Tower is?
Mhm.
That was a tree. This
I know.
planet I know. This
It's
planet
like
had
the
trees that
root of
big.
the cut of a root.
Yes, the stump. Yeah.
It's a stump.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
Devil's Tower, because if you look at the comparison of Devil's Tower to the stump of a root, it looks exact. Why was it cut from your experience?
Devil's Tower wasn't cut. It was destroyed during a cataclysm a little over 12,000 years ago.
Oh, the
planet-
mega flood.
Yeah, that's one of them. Yep.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what before it split from a cataclysm, the mega flood, 12 or so thousand years ago, where did it go? Like, how high did it go? I mean, did it go hit the sun, or how high did it go?
Oh God, you know the Sears Tower, right?
Yeah.
Kind of at about, I don't know, 300 or 400 more feet to that, and that's how big they got
Oh,
to the top of the.
Yeah,
to the
everything
top.
was bigger than. I mean, we had dragonflies that were 4 or 5 feet across.
Mhm.
Right.
The
Yeah.
Earth's gravity was lighter, and this allowed animals and plants to
Right.
be
That
much
big, right?
bigger. Yeah.
This was about 68 million years ago that we
Mhm.
had trees like that on our planet, and the dinosaurs were roaming and all kinds of stuff.
Okay.
68 million years ago.
Okay. So from your experience, about 12,000 and more years ago, everything was bigger, including possibly humans and animals, because the gravity was lighter, and so it allowed things to be taller.
Well, first thing that happened is 280 million years ago, Mars used to be where we're at in the solar system. And we were kind of like up opposite it in a different orbital plane. So we never bashed into each other. Earth had less gravity, and it had dinosaurs and animals like that, mostly that type of animal, big, big, big. Mars had a human population on it like us. And they were all fine until everybody realized that they had an incoming rogue planet that was dragging huge asteroids behind with it. And they all evacuated. They got everybody off the planet. And what happened is Mars got slammed into first, and it blew off the entire outside of that planet. It just stripped it out. Mars is much smaller than it was, and it's outgassing now. So it's still, it's a dead planet. It has no core, no magnetosphere, nothing, no magnetic, nothing going on. It's dead, cold, dead. Earth got hit as well, and it bulged the entire inside of our planet. We used to have a very homogeneous inside, core, but it bulged it out. We have magma bulges that are quite significant because of it, and we tilt somewhat, okay, and we
Mhm.
wobble because of the tilt. It kind of helped contribute to our seasons, to be honest with you.
Mhm.
It made them more significant, and it pushed us out of the orbit we were in into the same orbit that Mars originally occupied. We had way more gravity. This caused a mass extinction of animals. The dinosaurs died. I mean, there was a lot going on with that. Major cataclysmic event back then. Our planet has now got, because of all this that happened to it, has cycles every 12,000 years where our planet goes through a magnetic pole change. The sun does this naturally. All the planets always change their poles, but for us, it's quite dramatic because we're in a wobble. We got bulging magma down there, and we just don't take this pole change really, really well. It puts it at a disadvantage because our magnetosphere is going down at the same time the poles are excursioning. The sun's heating up, and it's just a mess. And it's every 12,000 years. There's a 6,000 year cycle. There's a whole bunch, but these two are the most significant. What we're going through right now is the end of a 12,000 year cycle. There have been multiple cycles before us. There have been many different civilizations on this planet, iterations of human beings coming and going here. because of that. And ET plays a role in taking us off when the time is right to get us out of here.
Okay. So, real quick, because I know people want to know, what's the difference between an AI? Is there AI gray or the
Yes.
short grays, and
Yeah.
a tall organic gray alien? What's the
Okay.
difference?
The AI grays are manufactured. They're made. They're a biological AI, and they're about 2 feet tall. And all the ETs use them as workers because gamma radiation in space is just as bad as anything you can imagine. And it's hard on them to be out in space all the time. They prefer to be on a planet that has a working magnetosphere on it to protect them, like it protects us. It's supposed to. So they do all the hard grunt work for them. They're the workers for them. They're autonomous, intelligent, somewhat biological workers who can take that kind of radiation and it not hurt them. They drink a drink that helps them biologically. In other words, it keeps their biologics functioning, but it has high doses of iodine in it. Okay. Iodine kind of reduces gamma radiation and it helps their biological components stay healthy while they're going through all this. So they take massive doses of iodine all the time. When they're not working, you can stack them like cordwood. You just pack them in, they're turned on and off. So.
Well, let me ask you this. The AI grays, how do they make them organic AI? Do they make them through some kind of inoculation that has microscopic nanoparticles? Or I mean, where's the AI aspect of it? I mean, can you explain that?
Okay, I want you to think about, there's a lot of information. Okay, let me start with this. There's so much disinformation on this planet right now that you just told me how bad it is by what you just said. Okay, y'all don't know enough to know what's right and what's wrong about what's really going on. Okay, an AI is a manufactured entity. In other words, they grow the bone, they grow the tissue, they grow in a laboratory. Okay, then the brain itself is somewhat component made, but there's a biological component to it as well. This is technology that's so advanced, I couldn't explain it to you if I tried. Okay, it's a biological AI component driven entity. It's not conscious at all. It has no consciousness whatsoever. It is programmed. Its programming is so sophisticated that at some point it can teach itself what it needs to know. It learns, but it will never be conscious ever, never. Okay.
No, it's not self-conscious at all.
No, it has no soul, not at all.
It has no soul. Okay. Well, then let me ask you this about the short AI grays. Is this the reason why sometimes the alien abduction stories, they'll find themselves wearing somebody else's clothes upside down, or the guy wearing a shirt that's completely outdated from, is this why they get the clothes all mixed up?
When you come and they take your clothes, they put them into it's not a pile. Some people describe it as a pile. It's not. They just throw them into like a big basket, okay, in there. And they're all in there. And if you get a craft that's got about 20 humans on it, everybody's clothes get thrown in there, male or female. Okay, they know the difference between us because they are male and female as well. And they just grab whatever's handy, just put it on them. Looks like it fits. Okay, here you go. They don't think about the fact that those are yours. Okay, and if you destroy your clothes in fighting them or getting sick, that happened to me once. That's how I woke up. When I became conscious the first time, I didn't have my clothes on. It's because I ruined the ones I was wearing. Okay, I mean, totally. They got rid of them. It was gross. I had thrown up all over myself. They don't keep that. No. Okay, it's too germy for them. No. So I actually got to wear somebody else's clothes that day. How that other person fared, I have no clue. Okay, yeah, I have no clue.
Okay, so okay. Well, wouldn't like you have those abduction stories where they don't have any recall memory of what happened in those missing time, but then it's like, what is this I'm wearing, or where is my clothes, or where is my pants, or so wouldn't it make sense?
Yeah,
wouldn't it make sense to put them in the same one that they got picked up in, so that there won't be any kind of clue that something's off?
No, they don't think about that at all. They're on a time schedule. When they're here, they're linear with us. They're in the same time zone, and they got to get it done. And the AI grays aren't thinking about style, fashion, whatever. It's a tool to them, and you've got clothing as a tool, and they just put it on you. They don't care. I want to clear something up.
Yes.
No human is abducted. You are contacted. The reason you are contacted is this, and it's very easy to understand. We're going through a time for 80 years now, our magnetosphere has gone down, and we are having heavier and heavier and heavier amounts of gamma radiation hitting us. Okay. This is causing all kinds of problems for us physically and mentally. We have more cancer, we have more autoimmune disorders, autism, heart problems, mental disorders. If you've noticed history, that it's just gone, it's magnifying tremendously among our genomes. That's because gamma radiation unravels your DNA. And the reason you're contacted is that they're working on that with you. They're keeping us as healthy as they can. They can't stop your karma. Okay. They know when your karma is affecting you, and they know when to let go, but they are literally, every human being on this planet has been contacted. Some people don't remember it at all. About 40% remember, 40%. Okay. But yeah, everybody's contacted. You are not abducted, and you agree to it. They tell you what's going on when you get there. They walk you through the process. They allow you to remember if you want to remember. If you don't, no problem. They'll let you have the cover memory because you've agreed to it. Okay. That's the only reason.
Yeah.
Quick question about, because you were mentioning autism. When you look at medical research and the autism rate in certain countries versus other countries, certain continents versus other continents, it seems like the United States and North America has a higher percentage of these kinds of cases.
We're in direct contact with the sun.
Okay.
We're
So
right in the middle.
We're in the most of the sun.
Sun hits us the most gamma radiation coming in through our magnetosphere would focalize on us. Absolutely, yes.
Well, that makes sense. Yes, Preston?
No, so go ahead.
I thought you had. So okay, so that's good to know. And then just these short AI grays, the worker bees, are they treated with compassion and kindness, or are they just kind of just a laborer?
You learn to love them. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I love every one of them. If they're on, they're my buddy. Okay. I make no mental distinction between them at all. They're doing something for me, and I appreciate the heck out of that. Whether they're programmed, they still have the ability to learn. And if I give them bad, sour grapes or negative energy, they're going to learn that. And I don't want that to happen. Compassion is always best. It doesn't matter what you are, who you are, or why you are. Compassion rules. That is the name of the game, period, the end. Love and compassion. Okay.
All right. Very, very, very good. Well, that's good that there's some, I don't know, quote, quote, humanity in the treatment of these created beings. So let's talk about the Buddhist folklore of Lemuria, because you brought up the 12,000 years ago there was a mega incident, a cataclysm. Right. I say the mega flood, and there's many, but in Buddhist folklore, this is on a different book project that I have yet to go into. But in Buddhist folklore, almost everybody in Buddhism knows the ancient folklores. And the ancient folklore goes like this. And I want to compare it to your experience as an abductee.
I'm actually a hybrid. So yes. Okay.
Okay. We'll talk about that too. Okay. But so the Buddhist folklore goes like this. And about 12 or so thousand years ago, there was a mega flood that hit the earth. And at the time, there was a very advanced supernatural civilization in the Pacific Ocean that pretty much encompasses most of the Asia oceans, and it's called Lemuria or Mu. Correct. Okay. Right. Yep. And there's also a sister civilization called Atlantis. But the Buddhist folklore mostly focuses on their region of the world. But anyways, Lemuria, and the Lemurian civilization lasted a long time, and the inhabitants are not from Earth. They are from different planet systems. It's almost like
Correct.
an intergalactic civilization of highly advanced, high spiritual, supernatural humanoids that
Right.
came in and started the civilization. And
Right.
they lived for a very, very long time. They're very advanced and technological, but you couldn't tell because everything is all worked into nature. It's worked in, the
Right.
technology is
Exactly.
worked in. So
Right.
it looks
Yeah.
very organic and just,
Yeah.
very beautiful. So like the Vimanas, but like on steroids, that
Yeah.
culture.
Yeah.
And a lot of the folklore art is of levitating cities and all these, just eclectic artwork. But if you go into the Brahmin stories and the ancient Hindu stories and ancient Buddhist stories, they always go back to Lemurian folklores. So, from your experience being a contactee, what do you want to say about that? Because I found in my research for my book, Pyramids, Megaliths, and uh, and folklores of Asia, um, that 100% when I go to tippy tops of every island in the Pacific Islands, there's always a pyramid or megalith. 100%. And that's just following the folklore. So that's a really good anecdotal indication that it is true. But from your experience, what do you want to say about those folklores?
Okay. Every monolith on this planet, every pyramid, every temple are all constructed because ETs did all their different ethnicities, Lemuria being one of them, Lemurians, lived on this planet and they worked with humans that were here. Okay, they brought them here and they stayed with them here. Like in Babylon, they had the Anunnaki. Okay, in the Vimana or Vishnu, all those guys were in India. There are different points on this planet where they were living and working with humankind. Let me refocus here for a second. They all knew one another. They all communicated with one another. Everybody was psychic. Okay, there was no written language yet. Okay, and their technology was paramount here. They knew what was coming because before, many times before, we had the same issues coming every 12,000 years. It's going to be a big deal, right? So they wanted to leave this group, us, a message that this is coming, and they wanted to give us calculations. They wanted to give us the higher mathematics so that we would evolve and use it, use our abilities, use mathematics. They wanted us to bring our technology up. They wanted to bring our morality up. They wanted us to evolve, consciously evolve and become very, very wise, okay? So they developed a strategy, and the strategy is this: 144, okay, is a big number. And if you look at the degrees between each one of those temples, even the pyramids, it draws a line around the planet. And that line is where our old equator used to be, where they were at. They drew a line on their own equator. They used star ability, they used calculations. That's why they had observatories, because they, to the second, to the most pinpoint that they could do, all the ETs and all the humans that were here constructed this. Each generation of them, each civilization of them. It took a lot of time, but it got done because they knew in 12,000 years we were going to be looking at stuff, and this was a direct informational note to all of us. The pyramids direct you to where the Greys are from. The Greys are from the Orion Belt, okay? They're from that cluster, okay? Lemurians are not. They're from another point in the sky, and all their temples point in the direction of that. All their calculations in the South Seas, all of those islands point toward that. And you're not told this.
And what do they point toward? Do they point toward, like, let me guess.
Point of origin, where Lemuria is in the skies.
And
okay?
and what
We're all in the
planet or
same-
universe? Do
The
you know?
universe encompasses everything. Every galaxy that exists is in the universe, okay? But it's in our galaxy. We all come from this galaxy, okay? you can go to other galaxies that the ETs can. They have the technology to do that. They can. But here's where we're all pretty much from. This is our family group, our familiar groups. Okay. We ethnicity out differently. You know, we got ethnicities on this planet. Seriously, ethnicities, but we are all human beings. We are the human genotype. Trust, it is absolutely true that our entire universe is all got the human genotype. We all have DNA. Our DNA is identical to one another. We just have different ethnicities. We look different. You're even related to the animals on this planet. You're related to the plants, the flora and the fauna, all of it. We coexist with one another, okay? That's why they live naturally. That's why ETs have always lived naturally. Where I went was a planet full of trees. It was a planet full of beauty and stuff. Did they live in high rises with glass and plastic? No, they lived naturally. That's why I went to school in a tree, okay? They were natural, ecology-minded, resourcing, doing everything according to the way nature demands it. We're in a physical universe that has rules, and they obey those rules, because if you don't, this is what happens, what we're doing right now, okay? We're in a place that's run amok. We have not fulfilled our destiny here, okay? And ETs cannot intervene directly from that. They are autonomous beings. They believe in that. We are autonomous. We were given the right to be our own free agents. We created our problems. We must solve them or pay the consequences. Okay, that's the way things work. We have an unforgiving physical universe here, and that's how you learn. If you do something stupid, you're going to learn from it. If you do it right, you're going to learn from it, but you still learn. In Source, you can't learn that way. Everybody knows everything in Source. Everything's handed to you, and we all know if you spoil your child, he gets rotten, okay? And he doesn't learn anything, and he turns on you. That's why we're here, to take hard lumps, to learn the hard way, to embody our wisdom and our knowledge, so that we don't live in the third dimension anymore. You can raise your consciousness up to the point that you can walk past it and go into the fourth, the fifth, the sixth. It takes time to do that. That's why you're born over and over and over again. This body is nothing. It's just the vessel that you live in while you're here in this iteration of your life. Okay. So that's how it works. That's what they did. They left us clear messages, and you were denied access to that. Literally.
So let me ask you this. 2012, was that the end of the beginning of a new 12,000 cycle?
That was the Mayan calendar, and it was a clear message that we had stuff coming. They weren't going to give you any more history after that, because they knew it was time for you to put everything down and get ready for what was about to come. That was their quote unquote message to humanity. We're not giving you any more time. It's over. You need to start preparing for what's about to happen to you. Exactly.
Okay. So in Maya is 2012. In Buddhism is 2555 Buddhist era.
Yeah.
Buddhist era.
Yeah.
So that, because we start from not the Gregorian, but we start from the year of the Buddha.
Right.
And so in 2555, which is 555 year, it's a year of changes. It's a new beginning for the new cycle of humanity.
Right.
So what does your experience as a contactee say about this new cycle that we're entering into?
It is time for us to leave this planet. It is time for us to wake up. It is time for us to catch up with what we were supposed to be doing in the first place. It's time for us to raise our consciousness, awaken. If we do not awaken, you don't go, and you will karmically go somewhere else and start over again, period. This planet is not going to regenerate. This planet is going to go through a cataclysm that is unbelievably hard. And they're still trying to figure out if they're going to bring anybody back here anyway, because we have an entire galaxy headed straight for us. We're already plasmically touching, and the time frame is too tight now, and they just don't think they want to put up with it. Andromeda will be here in 2 million years, 2.4 million years to be exact. Okay. And that's not a lot of time. Cosmically, that's not a lot of time. On the timeline, that's really pretty short to raise up another civilization of humans who come back after this planet gets to be habitable again. And that'll be a long time from now. It's eaten up time doing that. So they'll
Okay.
probably take you somewhere that it'll be a permanent change. That's the new reparation. That's the new horizons that you're looking through. But you're not going unless you do this first. That's what's required of you. You don't get anything for free in this world or this universe at all. You have to prepare. That's what I mean by preparing. Raise your consciousness, wake up, learn the truth. Start, when you're psychic, wide open psychic, you know the answers to everything because you hear the universe talking to you. You can communicate with ET openly. All the truth will come at you at that point. You don't need anybody else to educate you. You educate yourself.
Yeah, this is one of the main ET messages. They really are focusing on people who have psychic abilities because they are trying to raise this in all of humanity. And when I say psychic abilities, I mean natural human abilities. And it's no coincidence that they speak telepathically and why contactees come back, with telepathic abilities, because this is something that they've used, been introduced to, shown. And this is why people who are regular contact experience things like being able to see spirits, astral travel, healing abilities, precognition, telekinesis, levitation. These are all things that they are trying to wake us up to, which will free us from, the bondage of greed and corruption and all of the negativity that's on our planet.
So there's this there is a debate on what is an awakening. Because some people think an awakening is supporting this political group or this specific public figure or being open to this specific psyop. But can you
it's smoke and mirrors by the wrong people. They're the ones who are lying to you because their agenda is very, very specific. For the last 80 years, the 1% of this world who consider themselves the elite want to try to survive what's coming. They think they can. That's why they've back engineered all the technology they've gotten their hands on. That's why they've dug bases underground. That's why they've got seed depositories everywhere. That's why they are preparing to take on this CME in that way. And we're expendable because we won't make it easy for them to do it when it happens. We'll probably fight them for their space and they don't want us here for that. They're going to take us out if they can. And they are. It's already begun.
And how has it begun?
Oh, I don't know, world famine, starvation, no power, disease, take your pick. The list is long and distinguished. And if you think this is all coincidental, you're wrong. It's absolutely engineered, all of it.
Right. So everything the last 2 years have been completely engineered and fabricated.
It's been for the last 50 years. Let's talk about pollution. Let's
Mm-hmm.
talk about farming that's gone crazy and not done right. Let's talk about food supply. How many factories have burnt to the ground in this country? Okay. Why do you think why do you think there's a war going on between Russia and that's the breadbasket of the world? All the nitrates that feed our farm crops, all the wheat is produced there. Okay. This is not a joke. Has nothing to do with power, energy, global warming, or anything. Those are all lies constructed to keep you on their boat ride while they go do what they're doing. And that is eliminate you. I'm sorry, but that's the cold truth. Okay.
And being open-minded to see the psyops, that's an awakening.
Worry about no, see, that's okay. In a way, when you're able to let go of the psyops, let it go. Mm-hmm. Buddha was teaching you something for a reason. Okay. Quit noticing everything else that's going on around you and deal with yourself. Okay. You heal yourself. You open your mind. You develop your own abilities. You do it. That's his number one message, period. You know that, okay? Quit paying attention to all the negative coming in on you because you can't develop. You can't become wise. You can't expand your consciousness at all. You can't get out of here that way. Stop. Literally, that's what each wants.
Okay. So then it goes, so now you see the truth for what it is. And again, it is overwhelming. How do you navigate through it? It won't be overwhelming. Okay.
No, you're overwhelmed now. You've got all the anxiety, fear, all of it. What'll happen when you do it is you will become very clear. You'll become very calm. You will actually be so what's the word? If you need convincing, this is what's going to do it. If you need a clear understanding of the path that you really need to be walking down, you can do it. Okay.
Mhm.
There's no more anything going on with you because A, you realize you're an eternal being. B, you realize this body is not a big deal. You're going to go on no matter what happens here. Okay. And C, you're offered an opportunity. Okay. And you will clearly, calmly walk into it. You'll find peace. You'll find joy. You'll find understanding and knowledge. Those are the most important things. All this is nothing. It's transitory. You're here for a short amount of time to learn. Let it go. Okay. Because I'll give you another way to understand it. You know what a pendulum is, right?
Mhm.
Okay, it swings both ways. And it has almost its own momentum. And
Mhm.
at certain points in the pendulum, it's moving at such a speed you can't stop it. And one side of the pendulum is all positive, thesis. Okay. The other side of the pendulum is all negative, antithesis. Okay.
Mhm.
Right now, we are no longer in thesis. We're way into antithesis, and we're
Mhm.
almost at the apex of it. There's no turning back. There are no more choices for you. Choose. Because if you don't choose, you will just recycle with everything else.
Okay.
You have to stop being a mental slave to everything and everyone that lives here. You take back your own karma. You take back your own right to choose. Okay, please. It's so important. Okay.
Okay. So then, so can you explain consciousness for people, because people get this all twisted up as well. So it's a
Okay.
matter of consciousness, but how can you use your consciousness to exit
Okay.
out of the reality that has
Okay. All right. We are all conscious entities. You are consciousness. Your body is not you, not at all. Your consciousness is actually you. I'm looking at you and I'm looking at your consciousness. I see your energy, so I see your aura, okay? Which is incredibly green at the moment, okay?
oh yay.
Yeah. You got some orange in there too and some red, okay? Our consciousness is alive. It is us. Each one of us has our own consciousness. We have our own body embodied will of mind. That's what your mind is. Not this thing that you're sitting in, not this physical piece of flesh, but your conscious mind. And your conscious mind lives in source. We're all together. We are all of us one. We are all, you are me, I am you, and we are all one. Okay. And we live in source. And source is literally the mind, the all mind of our universe. Okay.
Mhm.
You want to call him God, Buddha, whoever. Okay. It's still the mind, the total mind of all of us. We can communicate back and forth. There's no distance between us. We're all together. When you come into the physical realm, you come here to learn. So you project out your astral mind from consciousness. Now, so you're operating conscious in source, but your astral body has left out of it and come to this body to exist. Your pineal gland is your telephone call from your physical flesh to your astral flesh, your consciousness. If your consciousness left your body, you would instantly die. It would be gone. Okay. You can OBE for a short time as long as you're connected to your heart. That's where your silver cord is. Okay. But the minute that connection is broken, you go on, you leave. Okay. You're anchored here. And until you choose to sever that anchor, or your anchor naturally, this body flesh reaches the end of its existence, your consciousness stays with you. It does all kinds of things. It is who you are. And the awakening is the realization of that. Being able to be in contact, your physical mind to your conscious mind, okay? Because your physical mind's just a computer. You've been programming it your whole life, but
Mhm.
it only knows what it's learned here. It doesn't know all this other stuff, okay? It doesn't know that you're eternal being. It doesn't know that you're thinking for it and guiding it and running it. It doesn't know. Your pineal gland, when you wake up, when you have your awakening, that connection becomes complete. And all of a sudden you meld and your physical body can act directly from your consciousness. When I'm speaking to you, you're not speaking to my physical mind at all. You're speaking to my consciousness. I'm awake enough that I'm speaking to you astrally, okay? I hear what's going on. I see what's going on. And you can do it too. That's awakening.
Yeah, it's just a process of letting go of fear, recognizing you're an eternal being through personal experience, and that you are an integral part of this universe. You're not separate from it.
Right.
Good. Very good. Now, here's another question about this the ETs that the guardians, the watchers, the caretakers.
Okay.
So, have you met any bad ones? Are there bad ones? Like,
No.
because
I've never.
there's that folklore of the reptilians as the
They're
bad
from
ones.
Earth. They're from Earth. They were here with the dinosaurs. Okay.
Okay.
They're from here. They're not extraterrestrial. Okay.
So
They're
why?
from Earth. They are
So
terrestrial.
if the reptilians are from Earth, how come they didn't just become part of society, openly part of
Because they were
society?
evolving like we are. They were born here. They came in with the dinosaurs. Okay. They are intelligent, emotional, conscious, like you are. They have a soul, entities, and they are evolving. And they were going through their evolution when this happened. They're still here. They survived it somehow. And they're living in a backwell of negative vibes and misinformation. People, when they're in fear, make up stories you can't believe. Okay. You get a kid running and saying, oh my God, I saw this and it was trying to kill me, and it has bad vibes. So you have some ET people saying, oh, they're part of the government. You know, people make up, I don't even know how to describe this.
Fear distorts perception.
Thank you. Perfect. Exactly. And we're good storytellers. Human beings are fantastic at it. And so, yeah, there's a lot of mythology going on here.
Yeah, it's like when people see a bear, they're like, it was 10 feet tall. No, it wasn't. It was 5 feet tall.
Correct.
So if there's nothing to hide and they're around, they're natural as the humans, why don't they just integrate with human society openly?
Because we would shoot them and kill them in 6 seconds. They bleed too. And they don't have the same weapons we do. We're vicious killers. Every last one of us.
Okay. So like in ancient days, when humans were, let's say, trying to create their society from the mega flood or the cataclysms 12,000 years ago, they survived, we humans survived, but we would hunt them because we didn't like the way they
were
looked,
able to escape us. They were able to hide from us. There weren't as many people on the planet. They had bigger areas to stay in and evolve in without any interference from us. But we have overrun this planet like you wouldn't believe. We are connected. We have cameras everywhere. We are visually looking at everything all the time. Think about it. Okay. We have a neural net up there in satellites. They can see any point on this planet all the way through the oceans. It's scary for them, and they hide now from us. They don't want anything to do with us, and I don't blame them. They're trying to evolve, and we're not letting them, period.
Now, have they tried space travel to see if there's any other planets?
No, they can't evolve like we have. They're way behind us. Just like we're way behind. Yeah, just like we're way behind ET. These are evolving young entities who haven't had a chance to come as far as we have. They don't have the technology we have, not at all. They're natural, like a Sasquatch. You know, ET brings them back and forth to this planet for a reason. Okay, they kind of watch our pollution levels. They watch our forests. They let them know that we're effing this up now and doing that. You know, and they're just trying to live their lives too. Okay, they report like. The mantids are the watchers. Well, they're kind of the ecological watchers. Okay. And poor reptilians are just trying to exist. They're trying to survive. And they're very, very resilient. Think about it. They survived, another planet bashing into Mars and killing it and whopping this one, a good one. And they somehow survived when the dinosaurs did not. Okay. It's a serious situation with them. And humans lie about it because of the agenda that's going on here. They want you to be in fear of them. They use them like a puppet against our minds to make us think all these horrible things about them. They're just trying to exist. We have a hard time letting each other exist because we're in that environment.
That's true. Well, what does the how does the elites see them? Do they know of them?
Yeah.
And what's that relationship? Is there a relationship between those?
They don't want them either.
I want me there.
They would slaughter them wholesale if they could. You darn tootin'.
Okay.
The elites of this planet want to survive no matter what. They're about as negative, low.
Yeah, that's the alien threat right there. Unfortunately.
The alien and human threat. The alien and human threat. So
Yeah.
so let me ask you this. Because there in Hollywood, there's a lot of people who really want to get into the galactic, you know.
You understand that
mul-
they are the disinformation people, right?
the
And they
Hollywood,
are
yeah.
trained actors who fulfill the wishes of the elite. They run that show. Period. The end. Everything you see coming out of Hollywood is dead up misinformation. Period. The end. Don't believe any of it. Let it go. It's
So
not true.
so how would you how could we openly have a society where we welcome in reptilians? Is that even a possibility?
No, you don't have time. You have 2.5 years to get your stuff together before we have that CME. When we do, you're going back to the Flintstones. Our Earth will be no electricity, nowhere. It will be the Flintstones. Our entire grid will go bye-bye. See ya. And you will be on survival mode only. That's the message. That's what the Incans were trying to tell you, the Mayans were trying to tell you, the Egyptians, everybody. Learn to survive and take care of yourself and run yourself naturally so that you're already there when it happens. But we are living an artificial existence in plastic and junk and paper, and we've ripped our forests to shreds. We're lost most of the oxygen that we breathe. It's a nightmare because that negative influence has destroyed it on purpose because it's trying to figure out how it's going to survive, which I find, I'm being honest with you here, I find it phantasmagorical that anybody could think that way, you know, believe that negative BS, okay? It's just crazy. You know, they believe themselves. They believe that they are in control and they don't want to lose it. Control is a mighty master and it is one that will eat you alive. It is the worst lesson you can learn. Worst. And they're going for it.
So so usually when cataclysm happens in history, when cataclysm happens and people are in dire straits trying to figure out how they can work together and survive through catastrophe, they don't really care where the help comes from, even if it comes from some weird looking beings or cultures or whatever. There's always been those history stories of like the tall ant people helping people go into the underground caves to survive, and you know, there's all these folklores. So do you see that being a repeat?
There is no turning back from this cataclysm. Every 12,000 years, our planet is literally sent to the point that you can't live here anymore, that you will die. And help, it just depends on what prescription of help you're talking about. The help that ET is talking about is waking up, using your mind, open your heart, learn to love, learn to care for one another, truly care for one another, help each other live through it. So when they come to get you, that you're ready to go. That's the point. The help is going to come from you and me and Preston and everybody else within the sound of my voice who wants to wake up and help each other. It cannot be dog eat dog. It cannot be man attack man. It cannot be one against the other to eat. You have to work this out. And the only way to do that is to become conscious enough to understand why and let it take you through it. Okay. Love conquers all. Love teaches. Love guides. Love is everything. Okay. ET is not physically here right now. They cannot help us right now. Our magnetosphere is so far down that they cannot ride the magnetic field lines of this planet. They crash. They've already had enough of them. They're done. They will wait until after that CME before they come back, period. We are on our own and this is go time. It's either do or die. Take your pick. You know, make up your mind what you want to do.
Now go ahead, Preston.
It's good news. I know this sounds like a lot, but this is really good news because we don't have to live the way we're living.
Right.
Life is not supposed to be hard. We're not supposed to have to work every second just for someone else to eat. No, this is not what life is about. We're supposed to be here and having fun and experiencing and loving and living in compassion. And that's what we're going to be moving towards. We have reached a tipping point where this is no longer sustainable. And again, there's no such thing as death. That's a very important thing that people need to know,
Right.
because we're living in so much fear. And the
Right.
main fear is fear of death, and it doesn't
Mhm.
exist.
Right.
It's a wonderful thing,
Yeah.
actually. It's a very healing event. You can go to the other side and come back if you want. No worries. It's
Right.
fine. We'll all be just fine. And we're going to move into an age of peace and prosperity and love. So it's great news.
While it's happening. That's right. And
While
we'll
it's happening.
go someplace. I will tell you this. You don't realize it because they don't want you to know it. There are thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people on this planet right now who are ready for it to happen, who are preparing for it to happen, who would welcome you in if you showed them you were ready for it to happen also. Okay. That's why you need to wake up. Those of you who are on the verge of it need to go over to it. You need to open your eyes and see where they're at. You need to flock to them, join with them, create your own group, create your
Mhm.
own community of that. Okay. That's what's going to help you.
Right. So self-sustaining off-grid type of communities,
Right.
so that you can so
Right.
that if and when, according to your sources information from the ETs
Yeah.
that you have had contact with your whole life,
Yeah.
if and when it happens, when there is no more internet, there's no more Game Boy, there's no more whatever,
Yeah.
and the grid completely goes down, the distribution networks go down, that you can still be sustain you
Right.
can still be living sustainably in
Yeah.
your, so the kind of like hubs of communities.
Right. And
And
I'm going to
you can
give you a
kinda-
resource here that you need to look up. Okay. There is information out here that backs everything I say to you 100%. There are scientists out here who are talking about the truth. The government's about to shut them down, so you need to do it soon. I mean, like tonight. You go on the internet, you get on YouTube and write this down. He's called Suspicious Observers. And he will
Mhm.
give you all the absolute scientific, factual things that are going on that back up everything I'm telling you. He is a
Mhm.
scientist. There are hundreds of scientists all over this planet who are crying out to the people, listen to me, listen to what I'm saying. The government tries to make them look like they're insane when it's the government's not insane. Look them up, listen to it, and then start getting a few resources on your own. It's important for you not to take everything I tell you for rote, okay? You need to back this information up yourself. You need to employ it for yourself. You need to realize that it's actually true. And the only way to do that is to research it yourself. Open up, use your mind, figure it out. Okay.
Mhm.
And you can.
Very good. So I don't want to like scare people here, I don't want this
Yeah.
trying to scare you.
I
We're
know.
just giving you
know.
guys information. What you do with the information is totally a life lesson.
Exactly. And it just depends on what life lesson you want to learn. You're making a
Yeah.
very good point here. It's not about being afraid. That's exactly what Preston's telling you. This is not about being afraid. This is about taking control of who you are, what you are, and why you are, and working through it and developing the ability to see yes, no, maybe. What is this? There is no fear in knowledge, none. There's no fear in wisdom, none. Okay, but there is fear in blind panic. There is fear in not knowing and being anxious and upset. It's like a 2-year-old screaming, oh my God, what's going on? Grow up. Okay, it's time to figure it out. It's important.
Yes, welcome to Earth. It's going to be fun. It's going to be an adventure.
Yeah.
You'll love
like,
it. But
yeah, you like roller coasters. Let's go. Woohoo.
Well, let's talk about the children. So the hybrid children. Can you talk about the hybrid children? I mean, because in the book
Yes.
you talked about some of your unexplained pregnancies.
They weren't unexplained. I knew exactly what was happening to me.
Okay.
I gave full consent and permission. I have 3 children. The first one I had almost by the time I was 18 years old was a boy. I named him Lloyd. Lloyd actually came and helped me once. I broke my elbow really bad taking care of my brother. And I needed help. I mean, I had to keep taking care of my brother. Now I was all banged up with a black eye and a broken elbow. And he healed it for me on the spot. I have another son that I had when I was in my 20s, late 20s. And I had my last one when I was 58 years old. That one's documented, actually. I have proof of that one. I gave it to Preston. I was 58 years old and I got pregnant, and it's a girl, and I named her Sophia. So I have Lloyd, Alexander, and Sophia. Those are the names of my children. I've not seen Alexander or Sophia. I've mentally connected somewhat, or I've had information come to me even recently about Alexander, and Sophia is on the periphery of my knowledge. I have to focus on what I'm doing now. And if I get involved with that, I'm not going to focus. So I'm doing what I have to do. It's important. Every parent has to protect their children, and this is my way of doing that. But yes, I have hybrid children. Sophia probably is more human than the other two. The other two couldn't live here. They don't look 100% like me.
Does Sophia live amongst the humans like you and I? And
she's with ET, right?
She's
Mama
with ET.
Keeps control of her. Yeah.
Okay. So let's go into the spiritual nature of all this, because we live in a holographic universe.
No, ma'am.
No. Okay. So
this
can you
is
explain
real.
that?
This is not a hologram. A hologram is fake. It's unreal. Okay. Everybody's convinced that a hologram is real. I defy you to walk up to a hologram and stick your hand in it and make it react to you. You cannot. It's dead. It doesn't exist. Okay. It's a photo. It's an image. Images are not real. What is real in this universe is something tangible that actually has energy of its own consciousness, or the construct of the universe, the physical part of the universe. If I pick a rock up, it's not a hologram. Trust me, if I hit you with it, you're going to feel it. Okay? You can't pick up a rock hologram and pelt somebody with it. Doesn't work. You are in a physical existence, period, the end. I get real upset when I hear people say that, because it's not true. It is a lie. It does not exist. You've been programmed with that.
I think what people are probably using the wrong term, but there's a holographic nature to the universe, and that one piece of it sort of has all the answers to all of it. You know how a hologram, you can crack it in half and it still has the whole picture?
Yeah. Okay, it's information. Okay, all right, I get what you're saying. Every single cell and every single living entity upon this earth, including the cells of inanimate objects, hold information. It's a giant mind. It's a giant computer that every single part of it, including all the way through your DNA, every single particle holds memory. Okay. That's why the universe is chatty all the time. It hears everything. It knows everything. Everything is connected. Once again, I am you, you are me, and we are one. Everything in this universe is one. We all feel and touch one another. The spirituality involved in this is pure and easy to follow. If it's in the universe, it's spiritual because it's alive. It's a mind of its own. It's a connected part of memory. It's not the consciousness of mind, but it is the memory of mind. Does that make sense to you? Okay.
Okay, so then the next question with that, from your perspective, what are your thoughts on parallel realities?
What about the Mandela effect then?
The Mandela.
So like people who say that they recall, the popular one, Ed McMahon delivering the prize checks, whereas in this reality he never has, but everybody remembers seeing and experiencing that reality.
Right. Okay, now here's the other thing. This is the big picture, and this is the one that drives everybody crazy when they think about it. Do you think we're the only universe in existence?
Oh, no, I know not.
Okay, our universe is not the only universe. We have parallel universes. They're all around us, okay? And each one of those universes, your consciousness can travel to. Right now, from source, you've traveled to this universe. But when you're done with this one, you can go to that one. Funny thing, you can actually be in more than one universe at a time, okay? And every now and then you'll connect to it and you'll see what's going on over there and go, what?
So those are parallel realities then?
It's not every universe has the same reality as this one. This one
right.
has, okay. In other words,
they're different experiences that our consciousness can experience this version.
Right.
And then maybe our consciousness will travel and experience this version, and maybe we'll change and transfer to this version. So there are different experiences of reality
in parallel universes. Yes.
So there are parallel universes. We're getting caught up in terms, but
I'm going to blow your mind now. Okay.
Yes, please.
You're here to learn certain things. You're here to learn morality. You're here to experience gravity, heavy weight here. You learn the difference between pain and pleasure. You're here to learn very basic things, okay? This is the beginning of your existence for all eternity, okay? This is the first depot universe that you come to. What comes after this one, where I'm heading to, I promise you, I'm not staying here, is the next thing, the next stage of learning. It's higher learning. It's still you. You're going over there, and things are a lot the same. The constructs can be same, but the lessons are different, because as you elevate your consciousness, the lessons have to be different. You learn more and more and more. Do you think ET's doing that? Oh, yes, they are. And they're capable of understanding that as well on a level that we can't come close to yet. Okay. So
then the question is, we have established from your contactee experience that there are multiple universes existing at the same time. So you can call them multiple, various versions of these experiences of your lives.
Different karmic stations. How's that?
Yeah, sure. Okay. Different karmic
levels
stations.
of education.
Okay. So if you have evolved and raised your consciousness, and let's say you no longer need this version of reality with the lessons that are available in this reality.
Yeah.
Do you go to a different version or a different universe?
Not right away. Okay, now
that has like different lessons and no longer the elementary lessons. So
okay, well, here's where the spirituality really gets fun. Okay, when you cast off this body, you're going back to source. That is a realm that is outside every single universe there is. It's in the mind of everything. Okay, and in that realm are different levels of the realm, different let's call them debrief. You go there and you go over what you just did. You decide where you're going next, whether you've reached that level or not. It's a place for you to play. It's a place for you to meet and greet loved ones. It's a depot, okay, of mind, okay? That's where you go. And that's where the decision is where you're going next. You never, ever go from one universe to another. You always go back to source, and you always go over it. You think about it. You do whatever it is you want to do, and then you make the decision. And the universe itself, the all mind, actually, the universal mind of all the universes.
Yeah, the Buddhists are called the universal one mind.
Right, the universal one mind of everything helps you make that decision where you're going next, whether you're ready for it or not. That's what's happening. So that's,
and is that happening in an instinct? That's happening in an instant, in like a thought of light? Okay.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this.
Okay.
Can people who have awakened, working on raising their consciousness and their energy field and their frequency, can they blimp in a moment of instant to another version of the
no, but you will go
universe
to the realms. You will go to source. You can go play in source. You can add a body, OBE, into source and actually communicate with everybody there. Look at what's going on, receive information, download from the all mind, and do whatever it is you need to do. You have that ability 24/7, 365 while you're here. You can do it anytime.
Okay, so with the cataclysm that you say is going to happen in the next couple of years, and everybody's going to have to learn to be self-sufficient, so you be your own doctor in your community, and you be your own community ecosystem. So so those people who are going to be able to survive and be happy without the high-tech modern society. So anyways, can you raise your consciousness to the point that you go to source and then come back to that point, to like you come to that version of reality, or no. Okay.
No, you have a physical karmic cycle right here, okay? And you must complete this cycle one way or the other. It's up to you which way that cycle is going to go. If you decide to leave your body and go back to source to decide where you're going next, you're fully welcome to do so, okay? You can, there's a way without committing suicide, without committing violence on yourself, you can just walk out of your body, and people have done it, okay? But karma doesn't really smile upon that. It wants you to finish your job. And it'll have a tendency to send you right back to where you were in another body to repeat that situation over till you learn not to do that again, okay? There is a lesson in everything. Everything has a lesson. Never forget that. So what's going to happen is, once we get past the CME, once and you're still alive and you've made it through and you're hanging in there, ET will show back up because our magnetosphere is going to come back up. It'll become safe for them to fly here again, and they will land everywhere all over this planet at one time. They will open the doors and say, come on, little children, let's go. And you will go. Those who don't want to go, those who want to stay here will be finishing a karmic cycle that they've decided to go through. And that would be to go through the biggest cataclysm there is. And some people will choose that, some.
And that's that's individual choice. Let me ask you this. I know people are going to ask. Have you heard of some people say that the changeover will be there's going to be an old Earth and a new Earth?
No.
Okay. Can you explain that from your experience?
You're going to go from this Earth to another planet. In other words, and it's like Earth, but it's not a new Earth. It's just another planet in the universe. Okay. And they've already, they already know where you're going. They already know what you're going to need. And your basic stuff will be set up so that when you get there, you can work with what you got and build from there. That's it. It is not a new Earth. It is just another planet. That's what that is.
In essence, it's the same thing, because from Dolly's experience, other planets, this is why we call the book Symmetry.
Right. They're all the same.
Life is the same throughout the universe. Many people are getting this message. And I think just assuming, well, this could still be Earth. It's another planet.
Right. It's another planet. And if it's only us on that planet, you can call it anything you want. You can make it Earth if you want to. That's up to you.
Okay. So this all other existence is not existing in another universe, parallel version of Earth.
You're in this universe and you're doing the lessons in here. And once we finished all that, you personally will get to decide when it's time for you to move out and go somewhere else. Okay. But your core consciousness, who you are, is in source at all times. You're just astrally projected out here. Okay. You simultaneously exist everywhere at all times, but your consciousness is only locked in here. It's a physical lock-in. You can't see it unless you open up your mind and use your abilities. Then you can go to source and you can go to the Akashic Library. You can sit down anywhere you want and have a talk with the all mind and say, okay, hey, let's converse. And it'll talk to you. It'll tell you.
Okay. So it's a very realistic video game. So, okay. So let's kind of sort of. Okay. So you've covered some of this in the secret schools and on board the ships of the different things that they taught you, like levitation, kinetic abilities, et cetera, et cetera.
No, they didn't teach me that. That's my ability. I did it for myself.
Okay. So what did they teach you at the secret schools and in the starships?
I learned morality. I learned how to function as a person. I learned mathematics. I learned geometry. I learned physics. I learned quantum physics. I learned about ecology. I learned about nature. I learned about biology, zoology. I learned about nursing. I mostly learned here, but there's a certain amount of nursing that they taught me there. Medicine, how to heal, that kind of thing. If it's anything that I wanted to learn, I learned. Okay. Specifically.
So in these starships, can you explain, did you leave the atmosphere? Did you leave the planet?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. You left Earth. Okay. So what does the Earth look like?
A big blue ball. And from we're talking light years away from this planet. When you look back at it, it's still blue. It's a big blue dot or a little blue dot.
That's why
it's very blue.
That's why it's the blue jewel.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
It
so
shines blue. Literally shines blue. Okay.
What? So it's round.
Yes.
Okay. So alien. Okay. So alien contactees confirm from their experience. Have you had a lie detector test? Has anybody kind of put you on a lie detector test to see?
At this point, I wouldn't do it for two reasons. I'm not a clown, and I'm not somebody who's going to be put up to be probed, and that's morally wrong of people to do to me. You either believe me or you don't. Take your pick. You can research what I've taught you and teach yourself. Not my job to prove to you who I am, but it is my job to tell you the truth. And I try to do that. Now, while Preston was vetting me, okay, for the last 5 years. I let him have
He's
access.
a good vetter. He's a good vetter, by the way.
Yes. I've given him incredible access to me. In other words, he knows that I am psychic. I've proved it to him. He knows that I can do what I say I can do. He's seen medical reports on me. He's seen my craft. Talata came shown to him. He is experiencing his own awakening, very, very into it. And he's on his journey as well. So he knows what I tell him is true.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to speak to that actually,
Okay.
because I've talked to a lot of contactees, and many of them are very reluctant to come forward, and they're not coming forward to convince people, particularly skeptics. That is not what it's about. It is to provide help to others who are going through this experience. There is enough information in the public arena right now to prove this phenomena conclusively.
Correct.
Skeptics are not doing their homework. Dolly is coming forward to provide information, to spread the ET message, to counteract the disinformation and fear surrounding this subject. Yes, she has proved it to me. I do vet witnesses. I ask for corroborating witnesses. You know, I do ask for medical records. I've interviewed them over and over again on the same incidents to see if their story changes. I do all the tools normal police investigators, I guess you would say, would use. Dolly does have photographic evidence, really good photographic evidence, not just photographs, but moving films. So I just want to put that out there that this is really not about, I don't write books to convince people. I'm writing them to educate them. And it's up to people. You can read every book you want on Earth about UFOs, and it's not going to let you personally know anything. There's a huge gap between knowledge and belief. And all a person's story is a guidepost for you to, on your own journey to personal knowledge. A lie detector test isn't going to do it. Those can be faked. Look at what happened to poor Travis Walton, who passed multiple lie detector tests, and so did all his buddies, and they are still attacking him.
Good point. Good point. You know, what are your thoughts on like different organizations going into space or trying to start a space tourism industry? Like Richard Branson had tried that with Virgin Galactic, and he had a big thing about that, and then it just all of a sudden went silent. And then Elon Musk had a big thing about going to space, and then supposedly he went to space, but now all of a sudden that's not a big focus anymore. So how come it seems like every time an organization, whether it's private or federal or government, supposedly goes to space, they come back somewhat silent, or they start refocusing on humanity's issues? I mean, that seems to be the recurring pattern. What are your thoughts on that?
Sorry.
They can't sustain the story. No untruth is sustainable for a great length of time. It always reaches like water. It reaches its own level. Truth will always come out, okay? And they can only lie to you for so long before the truth comes out. That's a narcissist's nightmare, okay? Being found out, and they have to move on and go to something else. They have a huge agenda that they're operating, and they'll use any lie, any circumstance, anything to direct you or misdirect you toward what they want you to do, not what you want to do, period. That's what that is. Give up worrying about what everybody else is doing. Literally give it up. You need to stop worrying about the world. The world is not your home, is not going to be your home any longer. You need to worry about you. You need to heal all your insufficiencies. You need to bring your abilities up to working order. You need to find your own knowledge, your own knowing, your own wisdom. It is so important now, so important.
Right. And, you know, and there's seems to be a lot of different psyops and things going on to distract people from their own personal awakenings, their own, you know, lifting up of their consciousness and working on their inner health, because there's always, oh, look at here, now look at here, oh, that's not working, now look at here, oh. The people
Do you
are
know
getting restless. Let's create a new one. New narrative.
Do you know how programmed you are to think like that? What you're doing right now?
Mhm.
You are totally trained. The one thing about the human mind, your physical mind, is it's not conscious itself. And it has a program that runs on habituality. Okay. It habituates everything it does. And if something is good, it'll keep going toward that. The habit becomes what it feels good to them, what it's operating in that operates well. Okay. All computers run that way. If it's not 0, it's 1. If it's, you know what I'm saying, it chooses to habituate its programming toward what works for them. You have literally been negatively habituated to think that you need to worry about what everybody else thinks.
Yeah, we all have. That is the
Yeah.
nature of society, and it's been going on for a very long time.
Right. That's why I love Buddha, just so you know that, okay? Buddhist principles and teachings are foundational for us. I would completely consider that while you're learning to meditate, or even Krishna has a lot to teach about that. You need to spiritually go within before you go without, okay? So important. Just let it go, let it all go. Don't keep looking at their BS. Don't keep looking at their hysterical drama, because it takes you away from what you're doing, period.
Yeah. Well, right. I think this is, was it May 2022? I gotta think of the year. I don't measure the time until, I have to. But anyway, so it's May 2022, and right now the popular culture melodrama is on some defamation court case between a ex-husband and ex-wife.
Right. Do you have the ability to make that perfect? Do you have the ability to change it in any way?
No. I don't follow it. I don't follow it, but that's what a lot of people are doing. Yeah.
What can you change? The only thing you can change is you.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what everybody else is doing. You couldn't fix it if you tried. All you can do is change the way you're reacting to it. All you can do is change the way you're perceiving it, whether you're seeing it correctly or incorrectly. You.
Yeah.
Okay. That doesn't mean give up relationships. It doesn't mean give up not taking care of people who are in your purview around you. That is part of love. That's what love demands. Okay. You have to care for each other. Okay. But while you're doing that, you still take care of you first. You still worry about how you're understanding it. And, what if, okay, you know this, you're a mama. There have been days, I guarantee it, because I'm a mama too, where you're sitting there and you're thinking, I'm this close, okay? I'm just gonna implode or explode. Take a pick. Mama need a break, okay? Mm-hmm. And it's not what's coming at you that's the problem. It's you. And you know instinctively as a mother that you need to break. You need to stop. Mm-hmm. Okay, you need to let it go. And you need to go calm down about it. And you need to take care of yourself. Because if you don't do that, you cannot care for that baby, that child at all, okay? That's how you should treat your entire life. Be your own best friend, your own best mom. The universe works this way. Everybody should worry about themselves. And then as you walk into situations where you're walking down the street and this guy's starving to death, say, you want a bath? Want some food? We'll make you shelter, and the whole community will back you up. That's what we should need to be living. Okay?
Yeah. So just a quick note for all of these, I call them distractions.
Correct.
Okay. Whether it's this war or it's this court case.
Yeah.
Or it's whatever. These are all different life lessons that people are experiencing, but like what you're saying is these are not only distractions, but these are taking away from your energy and your time that you have to build up your consciousness, to build up your energy field, to build up your awakening, to prepare yourself psychologically and prepare yourself into a new habit of living, so that when
as you're dealing with things, as you've learned to cope and handle, okay, and hear the truth, your consciousness will broadcast that out, and you actually help facilitate others to reach that point too. Consciousness is a very powerful thing. Everybody hears everybody, whether you realize it or not. When you're psychic and wide open psychic, and trust me, I can hear what people think, okay? your consciousness is a powerful thing, and your negativity is spilling over on everybody you're walking around. Your positivity does the same thing. It spills. And what happens is that everybody reaches the point simultaneously where all the consciousness wake up together and agree, ooh, ooh, and then it changes. Then the whole world changes. Then the war stops. Then the hate stops. Then the division stops. But it's everybody working toward themselves and how they're dealing with it to spread that positivity out. That's how positivity works. Okay, that's the energy of it. It's great among friends. Negative is the same way. Negative loves, birds of a feather flock together. It's really true. Okay, if you're building negative energy, that's all you're going to have around. You're building positive energy. But the funny thing is that positive always knocks out the negative. You want to know how I know this? We have example A in our universe. There is positive matter and there's antimatter, positive and negative. Do you know that antimatter cannot exist in our universe? Because the positive matter snuffs it out, cannot exist. They've proven that with CERN, period. They know this.
Yeah, what's the deal with CERN? I mean, is CERN destroying our reality, destroying
No,
our
absolutely.
world?
That's a lie.
What's the whole deal? What from your experience, can you talk about CERN and clarify anything about what is CERN doing, really?
CERN is trying to develop energy that is like energy that the ETs use. The nuclear type of energy that they use is not available on this planet. And humans seem to think that if they concoct things, like an alchemist, they can build it, okay, artificially. That's what CERN is. They're trying to develop that kind of nuclear energy into a usable power source because their back engineered technology cannot work like ETs at all. They know how ETs work. They just don't have at this time, they don't have the technology to back it up. And they think that they can build this energy this way, and they cannot. It's not on this planet, period. So they're popping molecules to create this type of power. They first started to try to figure out if antimatter was part of it, okay? And they built, I guess they came up with 7 protons of antimatter. And then they had 12. Guess what happened? They lost containment. It disappeared. This is a proton, one of the smallest particles there is. And they only had 7 and then 12 of them. Think about that. In a huge magnetic environment that was supposed to contain them. They built this giant thing, and there's 2 of them. There's CERN and there's one in Chicago as well. Nuclear.
Oh, Chicago.
Particle. Yeah, there's a part of that was the first one. First particle accelerator there is. They got they went from that to CERN.
There's always 2 of everything. Well, okay, so I personally don't care what they do because, the scientists, researchers, they'll do whatever they do. But the concern that many people have is that it's going to have a negative effect on the planet and on reality. So
no, absolutely
no. Not. Okay, so we don't have to worry about CERN.
Nobody's making a black hole in this thing. They cannot do that. Okay.
They can't make a black hole. They can't throw us into some weird parallel reality where everything's upside down. Okay, so there's nothing negative that they can accomplish. Right. Okay, so that basically they're not going to really achieve much of anything, but they're not going to destroy much of it.
Oh, they're learning stuff, but not enough to accelerate to ET's level, not at all.
Okay, okay. So that's not much of a threat. That's what most people are concerned about. So, and then the concerns, and I think you addressed this earlier about the quote elites or these very Masons and Illuminati. I mean, whatever names you want to put into it.
That's got so much BS in it, you have no idea. There are people, you know what a Mason is? A Mason is a person, and they've been around. Jesus was probably a Mason, okay? They go way back to the Egyptians, okay? And these are men who kept civilization. They kept the knowledge, the keys to civilization. They held it like it was theirs and theirs alone to deal at as they seem fit, okay? This is the 1% thinking they could run everything. They were the arbiters and the collectors of that kind of power. The Masons developed into, the Templars, they're also Masons. Jacques de Molay, the Templar, was assassinated by a pope. He was burned at the stake, okay? And the Templars went off to become pirates, and they went around trying to do other things. They've been around for a long time, okay? Their knowledge is really good, and they're good men, okay? They're not evil, most of them. But as evil infiltrates into people, it infiltrates into, things like the Templars and so they start getting a bad name. I think if you call somebody bad long enough, people believe it's bad, and that starts the downhill bad snowball into things. Okay, as consciousness thinks, it does. As you say it, it can become a happening thing. You can alter what's going on around you, the play you're in, the existence that you're living by thinking negatively. You do it to yourself every day. If it's stinking thinking, no matter how you look at it. Okay. So these things that you hear about all these guys, if there's more, ask yourself a question. Why are you going after them? Why are you saying such bad things about them? You afraid of them? Because I guarantee you that fear goes both ways. Paranoia, evil is more paranoid and fearsome of good than anything else. And it gaslights everybody. It won't let you know the truth. Okay. So that's why you yourself, you have to ferret this truth out. And the only way to do that is to work from within, not without. If you're listening to everybody else, it's wrong.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
More distractions.
Right.
More
They
distractions.
never get it right. I mean, gossip, think about it. You remember when you're a kid and you sat in a circle and you tell one kid one thing and it's telephone, you pass it all the way around. And the message at the end is so out there, that's what happens. Humans just don't get it because you're not operating on a full system right now. The reason that I have an eidetic memory is because I'm fully conscious. I'm awake, psychically awake, and I'm listening to my real consciousness 24/7. It's not lying to me. I hear the truth all the time and I remember it because I have it backing me up. It's in source and it's able to come back at me and say, no, it's like this. Remember this. That's why I can spit this out to you like I do. That's why I don't need to read a manual, or I don't need to read my notes. I don't need to study every time I do a show. You're talking to me deadpan. I mean, if you want to see what I got in my lap, here you go. Me, myself, and I. This is it. Just me in my house. I don't have notes. I don't have anything backing me up. Nobody telling me what to do. You're talking to pure consciousness right now, and it remembers everything. Okay.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Okay. So I have a last question for both of you.
Okay.
Please, well, maybe the last two questions. Dolly, please clarify who people like us are. Who is that?
You, me, Preston, the guy down the street, the dog, Biden, Putin, you name it. We're all us, all of us.
Okay.
ET is us as well. We're all the same thing. All of us. Okay.
It's the oneness of everyone that's
of existence.
To
That's
source.
right.
Okay.
Right.
So in Buddhism, we document the starseed journey of Yeshua ben Yosef, or Isa, or in the West you would call Jesus, who was tasked to help raise consciousness, but his life work was stifled by the oligarchs of his time. Now, still today, these types of oligarchs control so much of our planet, from the short leashes on media, medicine, money, and almost every aspect of society. I know you touched this on the elites. Basically, they're going to do what they do, and you can use them as a distraction to not focus on raising your consciousness, your awakening, and preparing yourself. But that's personal choice. And like these disasters, plagues, illnesses, are those also exit strategies for people to get out of this?
No, don't look at it that way. That's not how this works. You're here to learn lessons. You're here also to learn to live your own life. You're here to live in joy. You're here to live in peace. You're here to find happiness. You're here to involve yourself, as your consciousness knows. Okay, the whole universe knows this. The All Mind knows this, that we are in joy. We are in love with one another. We are each other. And to deny that is not okay. It's not healthy. Okay. We are supposed to be learning, to be sure. And we choose how we're going to learn, when we're going to learn it, and that. Okay. But things that happen to us are nothing but tools the universe use to throw gambits at us so that we do learn. Okay. But you're still supposed to live your life. And I'm not telling anybody to panic. I'm not telling anybody to stop what you're doing and not live your life. Absolutely do that. Be in joy, be in happiness. Okay. While you're doing this, calmly walk through it. People who can fire walk, that's a bad thing, that fire, right? And yet they just calmly walk right through it. No problem. No burnt feet, nothing. That's what living means. Be in joy while you do it. Be in joy.
Preston, in the book, your last sentence ends the book with wisdom is your freedom from tyranny. Do you want to speak on your last sentence?
Yeah, well, that's actually a direct quote from Talata and Dolly, who wanted to leave with some words of wisdom. And it's awesome.
You want to hear the whole thing?
Yes, let's leave with that as the last message. So this is the whole thing from the last sentence of the book.
You got to give me a
Symmetry.
minute. I want to quote it directly because this is Talata's, mostly his. It's mine, and we talked about it together, and it just came out together. So give me a second.
Yeah. So the book is Symmetry, a true UFO adventure, and this is the last sentence that the book leaves
It's the last
its audience with.
Yeah, it's the last paragraph that leads to that sentence. Okay, give you context. Everybody's worried about disclosure, wanting to know the truth. Okay, and Talata was very adamant about you understanding where truth really lies, and he was trying to paint a picture for you of what listening to them is all about. Okay, that's what this says. It says disclosure from those in authority over humanity will always tactically use plausible deniability. Their agenda supersedes all humanity. Our reality is their construct. It is their power and its weaponization, which impugns all explanations to humanity. Therefore, learn all that is learnable. Understand each of us must use our abilities to discern our position in this paradigm. Wisdom is your freedom from their tyranny. Okay, that is on my Facebook. If you go through, you got your picture and then you got the thing behind it. If you flip through it, you'll find it, that exact quote. Okay.
Beautiful. Preston, you wanted to leave a last message as well?
Oh, sure. I mean, my last message would be underlying all of that, would be to leave fear behind, allow love and truth to guide your actions, search for knowledge, not belief, and recognize that we are all one, immortal, eternal beings, and also garden, save food, have fun.
Absolutely.
I love it. I love it. Well, Dolly and Preston, it was such a treat to discuss the spiritual nature of UFO abductions with you two. So I think the UFO experiencer phenomenon is so much more interesting when you add the multidimensional consciousness into it. So for more information about Preston Dennett's books and to get a copy of Amazon's #1 bestseller of UFO, of Dolly Safran's memoir, Symmetry, a true UFO adventure, please visit his website, which is prestondennett.weebly.com. It's also in the show descriptions. And thank you kindly for listening to another enlightening conversation. Until next time, blessings.
Namaste. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Merkaba Chakras, where we talk Buddhism in the 5th dimension. For more information about today's guest, please go to the show description. For more information about Vaughn's metaphysical work, please go to merkabachakras.com. The views expressed today are for entertainment purposes and do not necessarily reflect the views of the host or replace any medical or legal advice. Don't forget to subscribe for more interviews about the 5th dimension. Until we meet again, blessings.